Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be asking ourselves, how does rap music and rap culture contribute to the school to prison pipeline for Black youth in America? And in this video we're going to be covering Black culture and Black people as a monolith. We're going to be covering the school to prison pipeline, obviously, and how rap music contributes to that pipeline. We're going to be talking about some cases, and I just think it's really interesting. So let's just get into it. As a quick disclaimer, I want to say that I do listen to rap music, and I in no way am saying or do I think that rap music is bad per se or good. I don't really think in black or white terms like that, but I do think, and I will show you the ways in which rap culture has contributed to the school to prison pipeline and continues to contribute to the school to prison pipeline, even if in small ways. And I have cases for you guys today. I have all my sources in the description. So let's just get into the video. Let's just get into it. This actually came up for me in my African American Studies class on this Monday. And we were talking about black on black crime. We were talking about the disproportionate amount of black people in jail compared to the amount of black people in the world and in like cities and neighborhoods and things. And one thing that was also brought up was rap music and, you know, keeping people in jail, keeping black people in jail. And those are also things that we're going to be touching on in this video. So I want to start off by explaining what is the school to prison pipeline, right? If you're clicking on this video, you've probably heard of it because it's going to be in the title, but just in case, and just so that we're all on the same page here as well. And if you see me looking over here, it's because I have my little script over here just so I don't, miss-say anything or forget anything. But the school to prison pipeline is basically the correction of increased police presence in schools, the increased police presence in schools, the tendency for schools and for admin to go towards harsher punishments before going towards softer punishments for students, and also the reliance on police instead of admin and teachers to maintain order and to maintain rules, to keep up the rules in the school. So things that might contribute to this include, zero tolerance policy, which will be zero tolerance is when, I don't really know how to explain this except for an example, but let's say you're getting bullied. The person who is the bully and the person who's getting bullied will both be in trouble. Which not only, if I get started on this, I'm never going to stop. But so let's just move on. But I don't agree with zero tolerance policies. Let's just get that straight. Okay. Anyways. So there's also something called the rap to prison pipeline, which isn't really what we're talking about in this video because it more focuses on how rap music is used in court and how the rap music expressions is used as evidence in court. And it's really strange because sometimes it's standing and sometimes it's not. And we are going to be touching on this a little bit in this video, so I might have just lied. We are touching this a little bit when I mention the cases, but we're not really focusing on this topic. So, what else did I write? Yes, the school to prison pipeline is the idea that all of these things combined is helping students get out of school and into the jailhouse, like drop out or whatever may happen, and end up in the criminal justice system. So let's get into the real meat of this topic. Okay. Now, something that you may be asking yourself right now is, why would anyone want someone to be in jail? You know, why would people want people in jail? What's the benefit for the jail owners or for the government for people who are in jail to be taking up those spots? And the answer to all of your questions is, of course, money. Now, we already knew that, didn't we? We already knew that. Come on. So, being in jail, a lot of jails are privatized, but that doesn't even really matter in this case, because even public jails and jails owned by the government can still be used as a labor force to make the jail money, to keep the jail running, and to make money for the government. So, a lot of inmates in jail are forced to work for little to no pay. And this is both inside of jails to keep the jails running. You know, they may be assigned a job at the kitchen in the jail, or they may be assigned a job washing clothes or doing this and a third, you know. And it also is for outside of jail as well, which actually I didn't know until pretty recently, that inmates also are working for little to no pay at places like fast food restaurants and big chains, which I will not mention any of them here for legal reasons. I don't want to get in trouble or anything, but they will work as third-party suppliers for bigger chains and third-party suppliers for small restaurants, and they'll work in the restaurant making the food and everything, because a lot of franchises are independently owned. Now, just in Alabama, and this is crazy, just in Alabama, the labor force of inmates made more than $250 million since 2000 from not paying the prisoners who are working. And all of that money was money that would have gone to the inmates that clearly did not, and made the state of Alabama that money, right? So I also want to mention that anyone who says that, you know, they don't have to, or like no one can make them do something they don't want to do, or like, you know, these are inmates, they're criminals, and they don't deserve to make money or to have rights. I just want to bring up that not saying no to these work opportunities would not only, in some cases, not be possible at all, but would also jeopardize their chances of getting a lesser sentence for good behavior or getting parole, which, you know, jeopardizes their chances of getting out. So I also want to say that even though inmates are prisoners and criminals, I don't think that it's right to strip away their human rights. I don't think that it's right to treat them like less than animals. I don't think that it's right to sacrifice their safety or their well-being just because they're inmates, you know? And if you think so, I think you should click off of this video. Yeah. So yeah, let's just keep going. Keep in mind also that inmates are counted as the population for district, like for voting in the district for that state that they are incarcerated in, even though they may not live in that state, and they cannot legally vote in that state. They can't legally vote anywhere because, you know, inmates can't vote. So that's also something to think about. And, you know, I don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers, but this is all sounding a little familiar, okay? This is all sounding a little familiar. Now that we have that covered, I need to breathe, baby. Excuse me. Now that we have that covered, let's get back to our main question. Many rap artists rap about things like being in the gang, living thug life, being hard, like having sex with many women, and even being inside of or going to jail, including like, you know, the snitch culture and everything around that as well. So this raises the question, does this music encourage stereotypes that keep black youth in jail, and does rapping itself lead and help contribute to the school to prison pipeline? So I brought up some cases, and at the end me telling you a little bit of this cases, like a little bit of, I'm gonna be kind of speed running them. I'm not gonna be telling you like all the details, but just enough for you to start to see a common thread, right? So in 2001, a 15-year-old boy wrote a rap song that he said he modeled after Eminem. He gave this song to a friend in school who then reported him. The lyrics spoke about murder and he included profanity. He explained that he didn't understand why the lyrics upset his friend and that he was just trying to express his anger. But he was charged with terroristic threats and put in a juvenile detention facility and 2 years of probation. His appeal that his lyrics were protected by the First Amendment was denied. And that's Jones versus Arkansas. And then for Latour versus Riverside Beaver School District, an 8th grade boy was arrested and charged with making terroristic threats for writing lyrics. His lyrics had never caused any disruption in school, and he had never even brought the lyrics to school or distributed them in school. He also made them over winter break, I believe. No, that was a different student. But he never brought his lyrics to school or distributed them in school. No one informed the district that they felt threatened by him either. He did win his suit when he challenged his expulsion and settled with $90,000 from the school district and $60,000 from the police departments involved in his arrest. And this is just interesting. It doesn't really have much to do with like the actual story of what we're talking about. But he actually went on to, he wanted to attend law school, which I just thought was interesting. Bell versus Itawamba County School Board. Not sure if I said that right. Same story. He was a star student and recorded a rap song during winter break in 2016, expressing his anger that 2 of his friends were experiencing inappropriate sexual behavior from their school's coaches. He said that he was inspired by Tupac, Lil Nas X, Kendrick, Snoop, and Lil Wayne. And something consistent in these cases that that are mentioned throughout one of the sources that I will also link below. You can find these cases and many others. Is that a lot of them said that they modeled and were inspired by famous rappers, and most of them also faced punishment that were separated from the school, and harsh punishments as well, such as being expelled and put in prison, put in house arrest, put on probation, or even a combination of them. So this is just an example of how, y'all hear that? This is just an example of how rap music and rap, the act of writing rap lyrics, and whether it's an expression or anything, can lead to children going to prison, literally directly from writing lyrics to going to prison, because the schools maintain order with police. So I just thought that was interesting. I also wanted to quickly talk about how rap music and rap culture tends to speak about things like living a hard life and being in a gang and going to jail and things like that, and it paints people in a light where people think that this is how everyone lives. Like, people tend to believe and lean towards the idea that black people are a monolith, when that simply isn't true. And I sent this script to my friend to look over before I made this video, and she actually said that she brought up Tupac and how people called him a poser because he went to Juilliard and he went to private school and he makes rap music. And black people can go to private school. Black people are not a monolith. Just let me make that clear. But I just think that's interesting to bring up when talking about rap music and when talking about rap culture and black culture and how they intertwine. And while I will also say that I, again, do not think that rap is good or bad, and I listen to rap myself, I do see the correlation, and I'm sure that you do too now, between rap music and the school to prison pipeline, and how these stereotypes contribute to black on black crime even. So I do also want to say that I understand completely how important it is for black people to find community and to be in a community, especially because historically we've had our communities stripped away from us forcibly. And I also think that forms of creativity, including rap, are good ways to criticize, to create, and to also criticize social, economic, and legal injustices. Now, that being said, I just thought this was really interesting because, this was actually brought up in my class, as I said earlier in the video, which one thing I love about going to an HBCU. And I just, I think it's always good to educate yourself and open your mind's horizons. And with that, I hope you guys are open to this. And I also want to say that I'm open to anything in the comments. If you disagree, if you agree, if you think that if you want to give me anything to think about, I am totally open, okay? Because I love educate, my mind is open. So I'm, be kind. Don't get in the comments and jump me, okay? But I'm open to kind criticisms and hearing other people's thoughts, and they may even change my own mind, right? And maybe I changed your mind. Maybe I didn't. That's fine. Either way, it's fine. But you can find all of my sources in the description, and I think that it's also really interesting to read up on yourself, because I didn't say everything in this video. I was not trying to make it that long. Everyone, if you see my videos, I'm not that good at editing, okay? So listen, okay? But go check out the description and see my sources for yourself. Okay, bye. Love ya.